Welcome back. Still Breakfast Extra here. Second hour, let's dive into the topic that affects every single one of us. Counterfeit products. From fake drugs to substandard food items, the menace of counterfeit goods, well, has infiltrated Nigerian markets, endangering public health and eroding trust in local and international brands. According to recent reports, nearly 40% of products on the market are either fake or substandard, a staggering statistics that raises urgent questions about safety and regulation. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has ramped up its efforts to combat this scourge, intensifying raids and unveiling new initiatives aimed at safeguarding Nigerians. But is this enough, is the question. With counterfeit goods being a lucrative business for unscrupulous players, the fight against these products requires more than just enforcement. It demands accountability, stricter punishment, and public vigilance.
Public vigilance, indeed. And so joining us now to unpack the impact of counterfeit products on public health, the economy, and the efforts to bring culprits to justice is Dr. Emeka Offor. He is the former Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. Dr. Offor, welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with, public health impact. Fake drugs and counterfeit consumables are endangering lives, to say the least. So how dire is the current situation, especially in rural areas with limited oversight?
Thank you for having me on your program. The issue of counterfeit products, substandard products, and the rest of them are actually very serious problems for the nation. Nigeria is facing a fake product epidemic in the country at the moment. Nigerians are not getting value for any spend they make on that product. The statistics are quite alarming. And so whether at the urban area or rural area, the impact is the same. But it is worsened at the rural areas because of some cultural orientations whereby they use cultural remedies and they do not have access to some of the information that they are required to be able to identify the real products and the fake products. So it's a real problem for Nigeria that desires or deserves an urgent attention. We should not let it slide that there is need for Nigeria to do something about fake products, substandard products in the country, and so on.
Dr. Offor, apart from the effect on public health, Nigeria is also losing money to all of these fake products. Some of them coming through borders, some of them are made here. Now, how vast is that extent? How much exactly might we be losing, and how is it affecting the health of the people?
So in terms of economic consequences, there are statistics to give us an idea of what is being lost. For instance, there's a report that about 40% of counterfeit products exist in Nigeria. That's a Standard Organization of Nigeria report. And then about $20 billion is lost annually as a result of this. The World Bank also had an estimated figure that Nigeria loses about 17% of potential GDP growth. And that is a serious problem for the country. But the major thing for me is that these are just estimates. The real problem in terms of the economy, in terms of the health of Nigerians, are actually unquantifiable. Because of the effect it will have on the economy, it dives down deeper into what happens in the whole of the nation's economy. It is a serious problem, and it deserves an urgent attention.
And let's just talk about basically Nigeria's, and this counterfeit products and phenomena that we see. In the late 90s into the early 2000s, we saw exactly this same situation, so much so that the late Dora Akunyili, who was the DG of NAFDAC at the time, took it upon herself to really restructure the NAFDAC and also go after the big guns that are behind the counterfeit drugs that we're seeing. And now we've seen that reemerge again, present-day contemporary times in Nigeria. And so it begs to ask the question, who are these culprits? Who are the people behind this? And what is Nigeria doing in terms of, what are the factors that allow them to thrive in the Nigerian economy? Is it due to, low inflation? What exactly is it? Is it inflation? Is it our economic status? Is it the present condition of economy? Help us understand why they still continue to thrive.
So in order to answer the question about the culprits, I would like to say, actually I'm constrained to say that we are all culprits. When you look at the vendors, who are the ones that sell these products to Nigerians, they are culprits. Who are the manufacturers of these products? They are the culprits. Who are the buyers? Who are the regulators that are responsible for curtailing their prevalence? They are culprits. And then who are those that are promoting it maybe on social media, on different kinds of platforms? Who are those that are preventing people from getting the right information about products? So we are all culprits, and the time is right for us now to take a decision about some of these things and do what needs to be done. You mentioned attempts made in the past to curb these things, but are they giving us the results that we want? They may have had some impact, but the problem still persists. And what that means for us is that we need to do more. We need to do more.
Doctor, first off, I wanted to note that we made all efforts to try and get a representative from NAFDAC to be here to give us their side of the story, but we were unable to do that. We don't know why. But let's talk about the efforts of NAFDAC itself. Yes, they are identifying these products, these bad products. We have evidence in video format, and of course, they're putting the word out there. But what more can they do to enable or to help consumers watch out for these products, identify these products? How can we know that we're looking at a product that is perhaps maybe counterfeit? There was a personal experience of mine. I don't know if you know what the barcodes, if you remember the barcodes at the bottom of every product. Now, I was at a store, a supermarket, a big supermarket actually. It's a big Nigerian supermarket. And I turned over this bottle of alcohol, and right on there it was the barcode. And I turned over the next bottle of alcohol, and I saw and identified the same barcode, the same number. And I turned over all of them, and it was the same all through. That's my effort to try and make sure that I'm getting authentic stuff. But how can people know about these identifiable methods of identifying these kinds of products that are not consumable?
Okay, so thank you. Before I answer the question, let me just put it in context. When we mention fake products, we mention adulterated products, falsified vaccines, substandard products, they're actually different, and the approach should also be different in trying to analyze them and bring a solution. So when we talk of fake products, we are looking at counterfeit products. We are looking at products that are not real. They are produced to deceive. So they look like the original, they look like the genuine product, but they are not. They are all counterfeits. You can identify some of them by looking at the labels, by looking at the packaging, for example. But that's not all. They do not have the active ingredients. So when you take fake products, it will not solve the problem that you intended it to solve. It may even worsen the problem for you. So those are fake products. When we talk of adulterated products, we are talking of products that may actually be genuine, right? They are genuine, but they have been contaminated with substances that make them unfit for human consumption. Substances that could be like pesticides or heavy metals that are injurious to health. So those are like adulterated products. But when we now talk about maybe substandard products, we are referring to products that are also genuine. They may contain they require active ingredients, but they are not in the right proportion. They may or may not even contain. They may not solve the problem they are intended to, or they may solve it at a lesser level. So those are the explanations that I want to. So if we are talking about fake products, we should ban fake products outrightly. They should not be seen in the Nigerian market.
Yeah, but how do I identify them with my limited knowledge?
So how do we...
exactly, go ahead.
So limited knowledge is an issue. And that is where NAFDAC and all the other agencies should come in. That is where everybody should come in. Because initially I said that we are all culprits. NAFDAC is a regulatory enforcer. We also have Standards Organization of Nigeria. We have the Federal Consumer Protection Council. They can all look into this and take genuine action, intentional action to resolve these issues. I'm aware that NAFDAC, for instance, seized about goods worth about 4 billion of counterfeit products in 2023. I'm also aware that they have done some enlightenment campaign. There was a time they were doing some TV programs, and then they also set up a consumer safety club. NAFDAC and you, I think that's the name of the TV program. And they did all these things. It's just their attempt, but they're scratching the surface. We need to go deeper to educate consumers. Let them, first of all, mount serious campaigns, both regular media, mainstream media, social media, through all platforms. Then government should also intensify efforts and enforce regulation. For NAFDAC, for example, they need to set up a strategy for combating these issues. We cannot say that we do not know them. The reality is that these products, especially fake and counterfeit products, are manufactured in Nigeria. They are available in open markets across the Federation, not just in any part of the Federation, open markets across the Federation. So NAFDAC can move in and track them. NAFDAC can trace them. The barcode you mentioned is one. They should enforce them when they are making registration. They should use technology to do these things and make sure that we get value. Nigerians are bleeding. Thank you.
Now, I mean, I'm so glad we're really talking about, just how consumers need to be aware and just how much they need to put more concerted efforts in terms of, awareness and campaigns, whether it's traditional media, social media, radio, television, or even billboards and newspapers. And I think more hasn't been done. If I want to compare it to the late Dora Akinyulu's tenure, it was massive. We all knew about it. In fact, people decided, and it was a buy-in. I think that we've established this over and over again, that policy messaging when it comes to MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, there's a lot of more work that needs to be done. But I also need to talk about something, and I hope that you can help me in this, the cross-border transportation of these counterfeit drugs. It is not only manufactured here, we've also established that they come through our borders as well, porous borders. And it begs to ask the question, how they are getting into the country. Because these borders are also manned by our customs agencies, immigrations and customs agencies. How do they let these truckloads of counterfeit drugs get in? And how can there be a synergy between the security agencies, the immigration and customs agencies, plus the NAFDAC to make sure that the Nigerian lives are safe and these drugs do not get into the country, or these counterfeits do not get into the country via those borders?
So I think before blaming the regulatory agencies and the enforcers, when you talk about customs, Nigeria Customs Service and others, I would like to say that if there is no market for fake substandard products, they will not bring them in. So for instance, we need to set up surveillance. So those that are responsible for protecting our borders and ensuring that these type of goods do not come into the country should do their work. The bulk of the substandard products imported into Nigeria comes from Asia, where they don't have strong controls in terms of products. So whatever somebody tells them to produce, you go there and say, produce an electric fan for me that will last only 30 days and pack up. They will produce for you. But if Nigerians on their own take a decision and say, I'm not going to buy fake, adulterated substandard products, it will help. But I know as I'm saying it, I'm also remembering that there were reasons why people buy fake and standard products. And that boils down to the economy. It boils down to poverty. It boils down to lack of information. It boils down to how affordable these things are to them. If you do not have the purchasing power to buy a genuine product, you might go for a substandard product. But my concern is that if there are regulatory enforcers that are doing their work and government is strict on these things, they will not come into the country in the first place because we are losing a lot of money when they come in. If you buy a fan on electrical appliances, you buy them that are not standard enough, right? What happens is that you will not be able to get value for it. It may cause more problems for you. We have seen situations where houses caught fire because of substandard products. Buildings have collapsed. People have died because they've ingested substances that they are not supposed to ingest. Their situations have been worsened. So we need to tell ourselves the truth and start by what can we do as a country and then be intentional about it. And for me, I don't like this phrase. There is no rocket science. It's not rocket science. It has been done in several climes where things have been made to happen. And so if we can even copy, there's nothing wrong in copying, but just copy the right things and give credit to who credit is due. Let's copy what has worked and then be intentional about it. You mentioned the RAC. They were intentional about fighting fake and standard products during their time. If we have done it in the past, we can still do it and get value. I have a feeling that we do not understand the quantum of damage that is being done on the economy and on the health and well-being of Nigerians and those that ingest those products, even outside the shores of Nigeria, because our goods get to some African countries. So let's enforce strict border control. Let's reorient our people to look at what is the problem and stop patronizing these people. And then ensure that those who are responsible face the law. The penalty should be stricter. Somebody mentioned the need to feed them with their products. So if they are caught and they are fed with those substandard products or fake products, maybe they will have a rethink. But that reorientation is very important. And there might be need to also enforce some changes in regulation to make sure that it covers and captures the need of the moment.
Dr. Offor, I think you just captured exactly what I was going to ask regarding penalties and also enforcement. So are you saying that our legislative laws now that are surrounding the issue of counterfeiting are weak? Do we need more reform or better legislative reform in this regard?
So what happens usually is that when a law is made, those that want to work against the law will find advantage within the law. So what happens is that there is need to constantly update the law. In this case, Nigeria has a lot of laws already, but there's need for us to implement and enforce those laws. So we should work at public orientation. We should work at how do we introduce reforms into the process, strengthen the judiciary so that they will be able to sort out the problem. And then the Federal Consumer Protection Council should also step up the fight, in addition to NAFDAC and Standards Organization of Nigeria. So regulatory reforms are necessary, and they should be regularly updated to meet the needs of the moment.
Dr. Offor, I mean, we've been here before when it comes to counterfeit drugs, products, food. We have been here before, and it's always during the tides of economic downturns. The question is, what then are our long-lasting solutions so that we will not be here again, God forbid, another economic downturn era?
So for me, from what you said, it's obvious it's cyclical, and poverty is an issue. For me, a long-term solution will be to help Nigerians, to pull Nigerians out of poverty. If we can pull the majority of Nigerians out of poverty, it will help. Secondly, we need to get foreign investors or local investors, get Nigerians to invest in their own country and see the reforms that government needs to put in place so as to encourage them to get involved and invest in their own country. And then address fiscal measures and monetary measures so that it will be easier for investors to get funds at cheaper rates. Then try as much as possible to curtail inflation so that it's because pricing is an issue at the moment. If you don't have the resources to afford, you go for what you can, but that may not help matters. But if somebody is living below the poverty line, he doesn't really have much to do. And then during a period of economic downturn, it worsens. So the major solution will be to see how Nigeria can improve its economy. And the ways to do that are obvious. Create an enabling environment, inject investment into the economy, and then make sure that those reforms are implemented and investors get return for their money. As it is now, the situation is worsening. And that's why I keep in every statement I make here to call for concerted efforts to ensure that these are done. So if we address the issue of economy, if we address issues around manufacturing and standard, we address the issues around consumer protection and goods and products regulation in Nigeria, we will have strong institutions that can enforce these things.
All right.
So
all right.
Ultimately, it behooves on all of us to be intentional about this. And then the campaigns must be put in place.
All right.
If everybody becomes aware, it makes it easier for us to curtail these problems in the future.
Doctor, you have done justice to this topic, and we've called your call to action is very important to all stakeholders, whether it's the private sector, the public, or even the agencies and the government as well. Everyone needs to come together: judiciary, executive, legislative, and also the agencies who are in charge. Dr. Emeka Offor, he's the former executive secretary and, of course, the CEO of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Agency. Hopefully I got that correctly. But thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you, sir.